Most people assume that regular health checkups are always beneficial. But what if I told you that, past a certain age, some of these tests might actually endanger your life? It sounds counterintuitive, I know. But not every medical screening is as safe as it seems. In fact, some of the most routinely offered exams for older adults can trigger false alarms, cause needless worry, and lead to risky procedures. This isn't a scare tactic. It's a shift many physicians are beginning to recognize, especially when treating patients over the age of 70. Medicine is starting to catch up to the truth. A blanket approach to testing often fails older adults. In this video, we'll explore 5 medical screenings seniors should consider skipping tests that even seasoned doctors often decline for themselves. We'll uncover why these screenings are so widely promoted, what hidden dangers they carry, and which alternatives offer real insight without putting your health in jeopardy. You deserve health care that respects your stage of life. If you're someone who values your well-being but doesn't want to be overtreated, overmedicated, or overwhelmed by unnecessary medical intervention, this video is for you. Our goal isn't fear, it's clarity, confidence, and smart decisions. Let's get started. Number 1, the colonoscopy trap. For years, colonoscopies have been the go-to screening to catch colon cancer early, but after 70, especially in people with no symptoms or family history, this test may silently shift from helpful to harmful. What once saved lives in your 50s or 60s may now pose higher risks than rewards. The procedure isn't minor. It demands a full bowel cleanse, sedation, and insertion of a long scope into your colon. This is tough for younger bodies, but for older adults, the stakes get much higher. The bowel prep alone can cause dehydration and mineral imbalances, which are especially dangerous as we age. Sedatives used can linger longer in seniors, causing grogginess, confusion, and falls. But perhaps the most unsettling issue is what happens when small polyps are found, polyps that might never have caused trouble. Many of these slow, growing growths would take over a decade to become serious, sign many seniors may never face. Still, fear takes over. This leads to a spiral of surgeries, scopes, and even partial bowel removal, all for something that might never have mattered. When the danger of treatment exceeds the potential benefit, we're not preventing, we're harming. Here's a story I can't forget. George, an 82-year-old friend, still full of life and sharp as ever, agreed to a routine colonoscopy, even though he had zero digestive issues. The prep dehydrated him badly. After the scope, still woozy from sedation, he fell at home and broke his hip. Months of pain, rehab, and bills followed. And what did the colonoscopy find? Nothing. This isn't to fault doctors. They follow the training they were given. But our understanding of medicine is changing, and we must change with it. If you're over 70, symptom-free, and healthy, it's completely okay to say no to a colonoscopy. Today, non-invasive stool tests exist that offer reliable insight with far fewer risks. The key is balance, understanding the real cost of aggressive testing on your body, your peace of mind, and your wallet. More isn't always better. At this stage in life, better often means wiser, simpler, and more thoughtful. Choosing less can be an act of real self-care. You're not ignoring your health by being cautious. You're protecting it. Number 2, the full body scan trap. It sounds appealing, doesn't it? A machine scanning your entire body, catching hidden problems before they become serious. What could be smarter than that? But after 70, this fantasy can easily become a medical nightmare. Although the idea of full body scans seems like smart, preventive care, the reality is far more complicated. For seniors, these high-powered tests often open the door to fear, invasive diagnostics, and unnecessary treatments that may do more harm than good. CT scans and MRI are powerful tools. They detect everything, down to the tiniest irregularity. That includes harmless abnormalities that would never impact your health or longevity. But once they're spotted, they can become psychological landmines. A tiny lump, a minor shadow, suddenly, you're caught in a whirlwind of appointments, follow-ups, and anxiety over things that may never evolve into real threats. Why is this more dangerous with age? Because older bodies aren't as resilient. A biopsy that's routine at 45 might lead to a collapsed lung, infection, or prolonged healing at 75. Even the simple act of staying still for the scan can cause discomfort or trigger pain in joints and muscles. The emotional toll can be just as intense. What starts as peace of mind often ends in a cascade of decisions that burden both mind and body. That's why many experts now advise against routine full-body scans for seniors unless specific symptoms or medical history call for it. Prevention isn't about chasing every shadow, it's about knowing which ones matter. There's power in saying no to unnecessary worry. True health isn't found in scanning every inch of your body. It's in choosing wisely, caring deliberately, and living fully. For many seniors, getting an MRI can be physically taxing or even painful, especially for aging joints and stiff muscles. But there's another side to it that rarely gets mentioned: the emotional toll. Older adults often find themselves burdened by the possibility of bad news, rather than appreciating the good health they still enjoy. I remember meeting Betty, a 78-year-old woman, at a senior health event. She was lively, active, and walked every day without complaint. But during a health fair, she was offered a discounted full-body scan from a mobile unit. The scan picked up a tiny lesion on her kidney, something so small it hadn't caused any symptoms and likely never would. Yet the word lesion was enough to spark fear. Within a month, she was on an operating table. The consequences were heartbreaking: months of painful recovery, reduced energy, and complications that lingered far longer than expected. And for what? A spot that might have remained silent for the rest of her life. Medically, this is called overdiagnosis. Emotionally, it's unnecessary fear. Financially, it's a strain many seniors can't afford. These scans are rarely covered by insurance unless there's a strong reason, leaving many older adults paying out of pocket, convinced they're investing in peace of mind. But often, they're buying into a cycle of endless tests, consultations, and surgeries. True responsibility in this stage of life looks different. It means trusting your body a bit more. It means tuning into how you feel, not just what the machines say. And above all, it means realizing that not every shadow deserves your energy, attention, or fear. If you're still watching this and these ideas resonate with you, please type number 2 in the comments below. I'd love to know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss a video. Your support helps us create more content to inform, support, and uplift older adults like you. Let's keep going. Number 3, the cardiac stress test overkill. For years, the treadmill stress test was seen as a smart way to detect heart disease in older adults. The premise is simple: put your heart under pressure and see how it handles it. But after 70, that strategy can become misleading and even harmful in ways that many people never expect. What was once useful in your 50s or early 60s can easily backfire later in life. Here's why. These tests frequently produce false positives in seniors. That means the results suggest heart trouble, even when there's nothing wrong. These misleading results are common because aging naturally changes the body. Arteries stiffen, blood pressure becomes more erratic, and the heart's rhythm shifts slightly. None of these changes automatically mean disease, but stress tests often misinterpret them. And once something abnormal shows up, it can set off a dangerous chain of events. Additional tests, cardiac catheterization, even stent placement or bypass surgery, all carrying real, not hypothetical, risk. In seniors, those risks are magnified. Bleeding, infections, kidney damage from contrast dye, and steep drops in blood pressure are just a few examples. And as you age, recovery isn't as fast or easy. What starts as a basic treadmill test can land you in a hospital bed asking yourself how things went so wrong. Let me tell you about George, a 74-year-old retired bus driver. He had no chest pain, no shortness of breath, just a routine visit with his doctor. Just to be cautious, the doctor ordered a stress test. The results were unclear, so George was referred to a cardiologist. 3 weeks later, he had an angioplasty for a blockage that hadn't caused a single symptom. Not long after, he developed a serious infection at the catheter site that led to an ICU stay and 6 months of rehab. He's never fully bounced back. Was that treadmill test worth it? Increasingly, top geriatric cardiologists say no, especially if you have no symptoms. If you're not experiencing chest pain, breathlessness, or unexplained fatigue, the risks of a stress test often outweigh the benefits. And if your goal is to live well, not forever, the answer becomes even clearer. There's something deeply emotional about the heart. It feels like the very center of who we are, the rhythm of our life. So naturally, we want to protect it. But wisdom in aging means realizing that not every test equals protection. A truly healthy heart isn't just measured in data. It's felt in your daily life. If you're walking regularly, eating well, staying socially active, and managing stress, you're already doing more for your heart than any machine ever could. That's the kind of care that sustains you. No wires, no cold hospital rooms, just smart choices rooted in what actually matters. In this season of life, discernment is everything. It's not about doing nothing. It's about doing what's right for you. Sometimes the greatest act of courage is saying no, especially when something is readily available. It takes wisdom to realize that not every medical test is a gift, and in some cases, declining one may actually be the most life-affirming choice you can make. Number 4, the pitfalls of routine colonoscopies. The fear of colon cancer is understandable. It often creeps in quietly with no symptoms until it's advanced. That's why colonoscopies have long been praised as one of the top tools in modern prevention. But here's what most people aren't told. After age 70, especially without symptoms or family history, the risks often begin to outweigh the benefits. For many seniors, this test may cause more harm than good. Let's begin with the procedure itself. Colonoscopies involve full sedation, and for older adults, anesthesia isn't a small thing. As you age, your liver processes medication more slowly, and your brain becomes more sensitive to those drugs. This increases the risk of something called postoperative cognitive dysfunction. It's a condition that sounds technical, but it's very real. Confusion, memory problems, and mental fog that can linger for weeks or even months afterward. Now consider the bowel prep. Anyone who's had a colonoscopy knows it means drinking large amounts of strong laxatives. But for seniors, that cleanse can be dangerous, leading to dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, and kidney strain. The result? You're physically drained before the test even begins. And for many seniors, the dangers don't stop there. Bowel prep can leave you feeling weak, dizzy, and lightheaded, especially in the middle of the night, rushing to the bathroom. It's more common than people think for older adults, particularly those living alone, to suffer falls or injuries during this process. But perhaps the most overlooked part of this discussion is the benefit timeline. Colonoscopies are designed to find slow, growing polyps that take 10 to 15 years to turn into cancer if they ever do. If you're in your 70s or 80s and have had clean tests in the past, the chances that a new polyp becomes dangerous in your lifetime are extremely slim. Yet the risks of bleeding, tears, and anesthesia complications rise sharply with age. Take Eileen, a 78-year-old retired schoolteacher. She had clean colonoscopies at 68 and again at 73. But at 78, her doctor suggested another, just to be cautious. She agreed. During the procedure, her colon was accidentally perforated, a rare but serious complication. Emergency surgery followed. She spent nearly a month in the hospital. Though she survived, she never regained the same energy. Her independence suffered. Looking back, She often says she wishes someone had told her the test might not be worth the risk. So why does this keep happening? Habit. What was good at 50 is assumed to still be good at 75. But aging changes everything. What once protected you might now be a burden. The fear of cancer is real, but so is the need to prioritize different goals in this phase of life. At this age, your focus might shift, staying active, keeping your mind sharp, and maintaining emotional stability. No screening test, no matter how advanced, is worth sacrificing those pillars just for a small, uncertain gain in life expectancy. What matters more is staying aware of current symptoms, persistent abdominal pain, weight loss, or blood in the stool. In those cases, yes, testing is appropriate. But without symptoms and with a clean history, another colonoscopy could do more harm than good. It's not neglect, it's intelligent, personalized care. This is your moment to reclaim control over your health journey. Being informed means weighing pros and cons, not just accepting medical routines because they've always been done. Your body has been through decades of life. It deserves thoughtful care, not automatic risks. If you're still watching this and the message resonates, please type number 4 in the comments to let me know you're still here. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so and hit the bell icon. Your engagement helps us bring more empowering and well-researched content straight to you. Now let's move on. Number 5, the overuse of cardiac stress tests. Heart disease feels scary. You hear about people collapsing without warning, seemingly out of nowhere. So it's understandable why so many people, especially seniors, want to be proactive. Enter the cardiac stress test. These tests, whether treadmill or chemically induced, are meant to see how your heart performs under pressure. They've become a go-to tool, especially for adults over 70. But here's the truth many don't know. For seniors without symptoms, these tests can often do more harm than good. The logic sounds reassuring. Walk on a treadmill, monitor your heart, and if anything is off, take action. But real life isn't always that simple. As we age, our test results can become more misleading than meaningful, and that's where problems begin. As we age, our cardiovascular system naturally changes. Arteries stiffen a bit, minor plaque builds up, and recovery from exertion can take a little longer. These shifts are often completely normal, but when they show up during a stress test, they're frequently misread as warning signs. That's where trouble begins. Doctors, trying to be thorough, may interpret these age-related changes as threats. Suddenly, you're scheduled for more testing, angiograms, catheterizations, and even stents. And while the intentions are good, the path they lead you down can be harmful, especially for older adults with delicate vessels or decreased kidney function. These follow-up procedures are not without consequence. Catheterizations, for example, can cause internal bleeding, strokes, or kidney damage, especially in seniors whose bodies don't bounce back the way they used to. And once you're on that path, it can feel impossible to stop. One test leads to another, and soon you're tangled in a web of medical interventions for a condition that might never have posed a threat. Take Harold, a 76-year-old grandfather from Illinois. He felt great, walking every day, spending time with his grandkids. No chest pain, no fatigue, but during a checkup, his doctor recommended a stress test just in case. That test showed a slight abnormality. So, Harold underwent a catheterization where doctors discovered non-obstructive plaque, nothing dangerous. But they placed a stent anyway. Afterward, Harold developed bleeding from the blood thinners and was hospitalized for internal hemorrhaging. His recovery took 3 months, 3 months of his life gone, all because of a test he never needed. And that's the bigger issue here. Much of it is driven by fear. Fear of missing something, fear of regret. But in your 70s and beyond, your focus should shift from chasing every possible diagnosis to protecting your comfort, independence, and peace of mind. That's why many leading cardiologists now advise against routine stress testing in older adults without symptoms. The research is clear: it doesn't prevent heart attacks. It doesn't reduce the risk of death. And if you're not experiencing chest pressure, breathlessness, or unusual fatigue, it's not only unnecessary, it can be dangerous. Symptom-based care is smarter. If you feel different during exertion, heart racing, tightness, dizziness, then testing makes sense. But if you're active, sleeping well, and feeling stable, you already have strong indicators of heart health. Machines can't always tell you what your body already knows. As we grow older, the goal isn't to fight everything, it's to choose wisely. To prioritize clarity, energy, and dignity over fear. Final thoughts. Aging doesn't mean surrendering control. It means finally gaining the insight to question the system. In a culture obsessed with doing more tests, more scans, more pills, sometimes the wisest move is to do less. Not from neglect, but from understanding your body, your goals, your values. Healthcare after 70 should not feel like an assembly line of tests. It should be a thoughtful conversation, focused on what brings you the most peace, purpose, and protection. When we blindly follow medical routines built for younger bodies, we lose something precious: time, clarity, and sometimes years of good living. Not because doctors are careless, but because the system trains them to chase disease instead of nurture wellness. If this video gave you a fresh perspective, if it helped you pause and reflect, then it has served its purpose. Saying no to a test isn't ignoring your health. It's being intentional. It's understanding that not all data leads to peace. Some of it leads to anxiety, overdiagnosis, and cascading treatments that do more harm than good. So take the reins. Ask your doctor honest questions. Don't just ask what the test finds. Ask if it will change your outcome. Consider the cost, not just in money, but in energy, time, and emotional toll. At this stage in life, those are your treasures. You've earned the right to make health decisions on your terms, not out of fear, but with confidence. Not buried in procedures, but lifted by purpose. Not endlessly preparing for illness, but living in the heart of what matters most: meaning, joy, and connection. Thank you for being here. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment and share one takeaway you're bringing into your life. We truly value your thoughts, and they inspire us to keep going. If this video brought you insight or comfort, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support means the world. It helps us keep making content that informs, uplifts, and empowers. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.